Good afternoon again, and welcome. We'll quickly have our introductory session. Online works for us for this week, given all the exigencies of the time, the challenges we've had, the abruptness of the start of academic work. It's only fair that whatever we engage can be shared with colleagues who may now be returning from wherever they had to go to. And so when they come, they are able to join our in-person sessions from next week. I'm trying to take us through the course outline for the course Field 307, Rationalism. I have already given some ground rules on how we want to operate when there is the need to engage an online session for your own sake. We are supposed to have a typically in-person session this semester, but it might even be more useful to you if we have to thrash out one or two interactive times. I don't have a problem availing myself for that extra time. If it will reach out to many of you, we'll have it also recorded and shared, but we'll still hold our lecture times, Tuesdays, 1:30 to 3:20, God willing, throughout the period that we have for the semester. So this is an introductory session, and that is why we are having it online. Comport yourselves, and we set up nicely. Now, the course outline, I will need someone to read. Take note, this is an elective. It means you were not necessarily required by the department to take it. You elected to take it. That means you were not bound. It wasn't like, I don't want to marry this guy, but they asked me to marry him and he's giving me trouble. And no. You elected because you felt that you want to do it. So you want to cooperate and not give the class and all of us trouble. We should enjoy our time together, make the impact that matters, and be able to earn what we have worked for. Okay, so let's work with that in mind. Secondly, I want to stress that this is level 300. And for your own maturity as a university student who is going to be given an honorary degree, you are going to be honored at the end of your period here. Take note. This is your third year. You cannot keep carrying yourself, and I'm speaking generically, not to any specific person, but don't carry yourself as someone who doesn't understand where you are standing. You're a philosopher. You are training at improving what makes you a philosopher. So carry yourself that way. A little fun here and there won't hurt, but you are no longer a child. Right after university, we could wield our resources as a nation into your hands in the name of a DC or president or whatever title you feel is. Look at, you could be a vice chancellor, it could be anything that is important to you right after university. You don't have any excuses. So you cannot go for a meeting and then when the meeting is called to order and we are taking how you groom yourself will play out when you have to administer, when you have to show what you are made of. So we will not encourage, flimsy and carefree kind of orientation. And the virtual setting is as formal as you can make it. Being formal doesn't mean rigid. We can have a very, easygoing and yet respectful atmosphere so that we can study. So I will not entertain, some things that we could have looked over in level 100. We've been together from level 100, so I know my class. I would have some contact with, I would have had some contact with all of you because I engaged you from 102 philosophical questions. You didn't have a choice about that one because a core. Then I engaged you in 201 problems of philosophy. You didn't have a choice. So almost everyone on this platform would have been my student. Some way, somehow. See that? Then we did level 200 second semester, element of formal logic together. And we are now in level 300, where students will now elect this particular course. It's not a core. What is the point then? So we have had some interactions. I'm sure you know your lecture to a large extent. You don't want to carry those baggages of levels 100 and 200, where we are still being groomed to your level 300 lectures. And I speak to you as your lecturer, as a friend, as someone that could mentor you, someone who has your interest at heart. Don't carry that along and feel that it makes you, the champion or people know you. It is not a good grooming. Before long, you are the project director of some international people. God has opened a breakthrough for you, and you don't know how to carry yourself because perhaps you are still doing the things that you feel I can hide behind the crowd and do it. So let's be decorous. That's one of the class cultures I want us to adapt. Our presentations, in our interactions with teachers. Charlie, make come on for there. What? On a class platform. No one will beat you up. It's a university, but you will carry that to your home. Before long, you are saying that to your partner, spouse, and so on and so forth. All right. So those were just pedagogical classroom culture, an atmosphere of interaction, but very respectful, so we can carry it along in life. Before long, we are beating ourselves up at institutional places that we can't mention here, raising chairs and hitting blows. What kind of grooming could that be, friends? A word to the wise is enough. All right, so rationalism. This is a course in the Department of Philosophy and Classics, which belongs to the School of Arts and the College of Humanities of the University of Ghana. Okay, this is our first semester that just took off recently, days ago, yesterday, I think, 2021, 2022. We hope it doesn't get interrupted. So everyone do what they have to do, keep everyone at their place. So you, the students don't suffer because syllabus is the same for both main and city campuses. The course code, take note, is FAIL 307, not PHCL 307. If you write PHCL 307, you would be mentioning another course, which is currently extinct, but for the sake of some amnesty students that are in, has been remounted. So I'm telling you, so you are minded. When you have to register for it, say someone is here still working around getting it registered, or we'll play this video or recording and we hear that. Take note, rationalism is FAIL, PHIL 307. It is not PHCL 307. That will name another course. Take it, you won't see it on your transcript. You could have issues. Okay. Then it's a 3 credit course. That means you will have a weekly 2-hour intensive lecture time, an extra hour tutorial time. You must have both to your credits as a contact time that you've had in the course before the period ends. That's what will be accumulated over a period. So you see FGPA, CGPA, all those things you see on your transcript. I build up from here. The lecture period, 1:30 to 3:20, physical in person at KAB. You know the venue, main campus. City campus test will do Thursdays 10 to 12 at New Block 2 to 8. Your campus wants us to run a blended mode of teaching. So sometimes we'll do in person, sometimes we'll do online. So you will find the online sessions a bit more useful. I think this is an alternation. So this Thursday, if you get to play this video before I come, City Campus test, then the Thursday, the first week for level 300, I think it is in person. The other week will be online. You know my details. Okay, for the formality, let me explain. So sometimes you will see just Dr. Miles. That's my maiden name. If you see the Mrs. there, then I've added the full married name. So I have a very long name, and I don't like leaving any of them out. But if for the sake of space, you have to leave any out, and you are addressing my office as a doctor, then the doctorate affects the miles. You won't find Dr. James Field certificate in any of my documents. The doctorate is on the miles, but I am still the same person. So that is why sometimes you see me writing everything. My office hasn't changed, gratefully. My office hours that I'm communicating to you, your class, not to another class, not to another course, is 12 to 2. If for some reason I won't be available for those hours, I would have communicated to the class already. Don't take that as a time that I must be there when you come and talk to me about some other thing, because others will need me, hopefully, that same time. Okay. So if you are coming to talk rationalism or something related to academic the rationalism course, but related to it, then I'll be available this period. Don't come. I hope you understand. We have large numbers of students. So you just can't come during my office hours and we want to chat about some business proposal you think that I can pray with you about. It will not be too pleasant, even though you would have had a very good reason for coming. These are very important. I see how much time I'm committing to it, so you understand what we are doing, and then you transfer or translate same to your other courses. Just before I entered into this lecture, I just kept getting calls upon calls upon calls. And Doc, please, where are we meeting? Doc, please, what is the time for this? And each one of them, I'll cut the call and send a message and tell the student, don't take opportunities that are given to you for granted. Don't take it that you can just be in your room, then 6:30 a.m. you wake up and pick a call. Say, hey, Doc, hey, I wanted to know, please, the class, hey, how many doctors or whatever, lecturers, even forget university. You just call your uncle in the morning. Oh, I wanted to know. No, it's not done that way. The fact that the person has given you that opportunity of having their contact, phone contact for that matter, doesn't mean you determine when you want to call them. Give people that respect, okay? Unless it's urgent. So you use the emails. That's why they are there. Sometimes when you talk to people, they say, please, can you give me your email? So that very offensive. You don't even know. Also, they give me the other lecturer's phone number. I want to call him. Why are you doing that? Okay, so now you know. The class knows. You can also educate others as the philosopher that you are. If there's an emergency and it's even outside working hours, you can trust this woman speaking to you to pick up 12 midnight and picking calls or receiving WhatsApps or even reading emails. But people abuse that, and I will not take it this semester. Do it too much, I may even block you. Really block. Okay. All right. Then our teaching assistants were supposed to be two. That's why I see assistants there. But I think that later on we had to rely on one. She's very helpful. Now Lamile Lamte, you see her, okay, in person when you come by. The course description. I want a very good reader to read that for me. Just keep your hand up and I'll call you if you want to read. Well, I see Naomi, I see Ebenezer Sante, and I see Nana Obeng. Nana, please read for me the course description.
Course descriptions. This course focuses mainly on the ideas of key rationalists in Western philosophy, such as Plato, Descartes, Leibniz, among others.
Just a minute.
Okay.
EI is I. I think it's German. If I'm wrong, colleagues can help me out. I think it's German. So I. So it's Leibniz. Some even say Lebanon, Auntie. So don't be shocked. It's Leibniz. Go ahead.
Leibniz, among others, to interrogate the question of knowledge, how it is attained, and what constitutes a justification for knowledge claims.
If you had your own course outlines there, sorry to interrupt, then you would want to take notes or underline, write it somewhere. The question of knowledge. Look at the course. The course is rationalism. What knowledge is, how it is attained, and what constitutes a justification for claims of knowledge. That is the core issue for rationalism. If you recall our level 100 discussions on the branches of knowledge, we saw epistemology, then we saw two main streams, or if you like, schools of thought, responding to the question of the sources, ultimate source of our knowledge. Then we saw the rationalists, and then what? The empiricists. We saw some Descartes, some Plato, and so I think we even did Russell also together. Then for empiricists, we saw Locke, Hume. You meet them because they are traditional authors in Western thought. Unfortunately, a content assistant tries to go outside of the context to speak for the whole. So we often do the westernization thing, and then later on we situate it into the African context. So have that frame. If you have that frame, we are done with the course. We are just going to do epistemology. You see that the focus will not be on ethics, it won't be metaphysics, all those other branches of philosophy, which are so broad. So don't know whether to focus here or there. This is focused on epistemology. And even in epistemology, it's just one of the main strands of epistemology that we are focusing on, the rationalist, or if you like, the thesis of rationalism. Okay. So I need you to have that frame, and then immediately we can take off. I have muted everyone. So Nana, you may have to unmute to continue with the reading, please.
In delineating the various conceptions of rationalism, the course engages some African philosophical perspectives to show the traditional rationalist or empiricist distinction may not be exhaustive of the possible sources of comprehensive knowledge after all.
Very good. Well read. The word here is delineating. Okay, but you read everything nicely. Delineating. Delineating means drawing lines so that you can clearly distinguish one from the other, something of the sort. Okay, so that is the word in delineating the various conceptions of rationalism. This is the whole course, not complex, not ambiguous. We are not asking you to know too much. It's an elective, so we take a chunk and then we use that chunk. We are not asking you to know everything. Okay, it's an elective, so it's a specialization, like a doctor that does so many things. Okay, so rationalism is, you may have to come later, I'm teaching. Okay, so rationalism, apologies, my friends. So a student entered the office, I have to clarify. Is just that branch, and that is all the description of the course. Good. I think the next person was Naomi. Thank you, Nana. Let Naomi read now. Naomi, read the next paragraph. I'm teaching and the recording. Everything I'm saying is in the recording. Come later, okay? Go ahead. Naomi. Naomi, you're muted though. I'm sorry. Naomi, you are muted. We are reading course objectives and goals. Okay, then go ahead. The next person, I think it was Ebenezer Asante. Ebenezer Asante, unmute and read, please. If you're having difficulties, let's take Edu Emmanuel. Emmanuel Edu, you're a city campus star. What are you doing here? Go ahead, Emmanuel. Read, unmute and read.
Please, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
To expose learners to the central problems of epistemology in the discipline of philosophy.
Good.
Encourage them to appreciate the attempts philosophers have made at responding to them.
Very good. This is straightforward. Doesn't need elaboration. The second point, the goal, what we want to achieve ultimately.
To acquaint learners with the rationalist school of thought from both Western and African perspectives.
From both Western and African perspectives. So we'll learn the Westernized one that seems to be entrenched and well exposed. We have been studying it over the years. And then we will see it's some African counterpart that we can distill from African texts. Very good. The next one.
To challenge the minds of learners to raise critical arguments, either for or against the rationalism and
very good
or empiricism as a philosophical view or position from different contexts.
That is very important. We will challenge you to raise critical arguments. We will not reward you for your ability to narrate. I'm sure by now you know this is level 300. Are you able to recount what Plato said or what Descartes said or Kant's synthetic analytic? That will be rewarded, yes. But the real reward is your critical ability to weigh the arguments and raise questions and make contributions and show implications. If the person said this, it means that. But if it means this, then it could also suggest that. That means it couldn't have meant that, which means that this is what, that kind of thing. That's what is rewarded. Thinkers. Okay, so we will challenge you to think critically about these matters of knowledge and their sources and their justification. Go on, sir. The next one, last but one point.
To inculcate the qualities of keen-mindedness, objectivity, and independence of thought in learners.
Yes, in learners. You are in level 300, so I will not elaborate much. I met the level 200 yesterday. Open-mindedness, by now you should understand what it means. Objectivity and independence of thought. These are your fingertips for you now. Next one, the last one there.
Madam.
Yes. Yes, please.
Ebenezer.
Yes, Ebenezer.
All right. To develop the skill of rational, coherent, and consistent argumentation that accommodates other views without necessarily accepting or endorsing them wholesale.
Yo, thank you so much, Ebenezer. Hold on for a minute, Ebenezer. Someone was reading. But I think we have a network. No problem. I think we have a network. So it takes a while to get to Ebenezer. So not to worry. So that last point, very crucial. We want you to be coherent. We want you to be consistent when you are arguing. We want you to argue rationally. Here, rational is not necessarily what the opposite of empiricism. No, we are using rational in the generic sense of it, level 100. Thinking about matters, reflection, not rational as in the technical term, rationality as opposed to empiricism, rationalism as opposed to what? Empiricism. Not that, but the rational as in a thinking process. So we want you to have a skill of thinking about matters, reflecting on them in a coherent way, in a consistent way. Consistency means when you start off, this is your starting point, the position you hold or the view you have. By the time you claim you have made arguments in support of that, you shouldn't have deviated from where you started. So you don't say, I believe in A, but by the time you argue to give us reasons why you believe in A, your belief has shifted to not A. And we don't know what you are saying again. Okay, so coherence, consistent. Coherence means you take your time and follow one after the other, the reasons you are using to ground it, so that others can follow you along in your reasoning. Okay, we develop that. It's a skill. You need it when you are now the policymaker. You need that. You need to be consistent. You can't tell the folks to look up before they are looking up. You have turned, you are looking down. When you do that, when you bring a policy, no one will follow you. They will resist it with all their energy. You see, so stuff like that. Look at the Ukraine and Russia thing. I keep repeating that. You see, sometimes we don't see these skills, these fundamental skills that are developed by the humanities. They are for application. See, you don't see it like someone injecting someone like a nurse would do. So sometimes you don't see it. But they are fundamental to your development as a human being. That's why it belongs to the humanities. All right. Let me take the next reader. Thank you very much. Was it Ebenezer? Ebenezer, please continue now with the next one. If you have questions, then you ask me. Learning outcomes. This is where you'll be your understanding of the course will be measured. So take note. At the end of the course, the learner should be able to go ahead. Ebenezer, one.
Okay. To recognize, define, and demonstrate an understanding of the rationalist perspectives and the authors discard.
Very good. You must recognize the view that is Plato's view, for example, and how it differs from, say, Descartes' own, even though they may both be labeled as rational. Recognize. You must be able to articulate unambiguously what makes Kant rationalist, if you think so. If you don't think so, you should be able to clearly define, state clearly what, because they are all rationalists, at least under the label of rationalist, but what makes them rationalist, that's defined, and demonstrates an understanding of those perspectives and the authors that have been discussed. I will test you on that, because it's a learning outcome. When you finish the whole period together, you should be able to do this. So how will I know if you are able to? I'll examine you on that, test you on that. Point 2, sir. Go ahead.
Critically examine the rationalist view and the responses offered for or against the position.
Very good. So for the rationalist view, I've said that in the point 1. But now your ability to critically examine, shake those views, okay? Shake it and see the implications of this. Is the view itself consistent? Doesn't the person defeat their own, that skill? I'll test that. And then the responses that when you attempt to critique, you yourself still take the person's position and try to defend that person that you yourself are critiquing. See that? So you look at the responses that have been offered, and then you proffer those responses. And if you are still able to raise a critique even after you have brought in that response, then it means you are contributing something to the discourse. That is what we'll be examining you. Critical ability, proffering responses, responding to the given responses. All right, third point, Vanessa.
Demonstrate an appreciation and accommodation of views different from their own, even if not necessarily accepting or endorsing them.
Excellent. So for that point, the whole outcome that we want to see with you is you are critiquing something, even though you believe in it, even though you accept that, but you can tell that it has this difficulty. For example, that's a very difficult task. You could be a judge, for example, sitting on a case that is, you have a conviction, but you can also tell that I'm convinced about this. This is what I hold on, say a faith issue or a family issue or something. But you can also tell that, but the person is still wrong, even though you wish you could defend this person, but the person is still wrong. It's a skill. You have to develop it. We'll test you on that. Your appreciation and accommodation of a view that is different from what you would have subscribed to. So you would judge that without giving up your position. So you have your own belief system, for example. Let's use beliefs. But you can tell that this one part, that belief doesn't take care of this for me. So you are judging it, yet you won't give up the belief because you have other reasons why you subscribe to that. It's a very difficult skill that we hope we are able to increase in you so you can demonstrate that appreciation of that view. And it's still in the context of the rationalism, empiricism discourse on epistemology. Yes, that. Next point.
Clearly argue to show why they consider their views preferable to other alternatives.
That is not ambiguous at all. Next one, sir.
Be intellectually strong and humble enough to give in the face of superior, more defensible arguments.
This is a character trait that people don't seem to see. It is a sign of strength when an academic, a philosopher for that matter, can come to terms with truth that actually, as for this view, it looks like I have been flawed big time. I have to go re-bullet and come back, something like that. People feel that they must always insist on what they felt, even in the face of superior argument. They still want to maintain their original position. That is not academic. That is not philosophical. So I want you to demonstrate that at the end of the course, you should have that expression. That's why you see in this course or in philosophy generally, academia, you might find yourself asking questions like, is there life after death? Which we have done in the past. You see that space and time as preconditions. You see that in this course as preconditions even for experience. And whether God, the concept of God is placed in space and time or outside of that. And sometimes it gets crazy. Look, are these people really, are they serious? Like seriously? You know that thing we say. But it is because you are able to put yourself outside of the situation. And it is something you have to practice to do. So you observe the matter, the discussion, the concept, the deliberation, as if you didn't even believe in what you are discussing, so that you help bring out the strengths and the weaknesses of that concept. You are going to test your intellectual strength, whether you are humble and really strong to give in when you see that, oh, this is a superior argument. Of course, after you have engaged your alternative argument, this one brings yes, this one brings yes, and then we look at African perspectives to some of the notions, and then we'll compare it with the Western one and see how defensible a view can be. Sometimes by examining the internal views that other concept have. We will do all of that. But the mark of strength is where you can say that, oh, I think that this one is more defensible than this. You don't have to insist, even when you can tell that there was superior argument. That's the whole point. You should be able to give in. And that is strength. That's not weakness. People interpret that to mean that you are weak. Oh, they have flawed your argument. If I was able to tell that, oh, my argument didn't hold water, then it takes the wise to see the star. Last point there on the learning outcomes.
Relate the various philosophical perspectives to personal, national, and global context.
This one there, if you have sat in my class, you know, you can't come doing all abstractions. After we learn the abstract concept, we should be able to contextualize it, bring them down to a context. So you must be able to show us the concept that you know in actual existential context, personal, national, global context. And it's a skill. We will practice that in our deliberations, but you should plan to give us that when we are testing you or examining you. Well done, Ebenezer. And I have another hand. 3 people read already. They all earn a mark. Is there another hand? Okay, Nana's hand is still up. So I take Nana again. Nana, read, please. Read the next. Oh, now I see. Nana, hold on. That will not be fair. Okay, so I see Apia Kubi. And I see Opoku Jenin. Enoch, I'm deliberately not seeing you. Opoku. So let's take Apia Kubi first, then I'll take Opoku Jenin next. Go ahead, Opoku. Method of instruction. Apia Kubi. Apia Kubi, go ahead. You're muted. If Apia Kubi is not ready, let's take Opoku. Opoku Jenin, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Course content will be delivered in person at the lecture hall and supported with resources. Please, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly, sir. Go ahead.
Announcement and assessment delivered online through the Sakai Learning Management System.
Good.
It is the responsibility of learners to check all announcements posted on the course site. Delivery will include on Sakai.
Yes.
Delivery will include lectures, discussions, in-class group presentation, and general research. For each topic, 4 issues, including the main arguments, key terms, and concepts, and their definitions and explanations, will be presented in the lecture form. This will be followed by critical discussion by the class. Questions are always welcome.
Very good. Finish that.
To make the class discussion meaningful, learners are required to read ahead of each topic and prepare a 1-page critical summary on the topic to be discussed. You may be required to present this summary page for grading. Learners are encouraged to read beyond the basic ones and to participate in the class discussion. Learners are expected to be present for all lectures and tutorials.
Well done. Well read. I hope you saw the highlighted portions. Read ahead. Prepare a 1-page critical summary. I'll collect next week's 1 page. So I've even prompted you. I shouldn't have prompted. Of the topic that we are about to do. It is a reading summary. We want to know that you read. As for reading, it is not the content proper, your ability to examine or evaluate them. No, we'll discuss that. But that you have read the content. That's English. You were required to pass English before you come to University of Ghana. So we'll expect that you have read, then you can write a page, just one page, telling us what you have read critically. And this is level 300. See that? So do that job. Otherwise, you will be found wanting. All right. I have an assignment for you. You will do the submission on Sakai, but I want to check first. If I say Sakai, people will just go and they will not do the thing themselves. So we'll see. But do that one-page critical summary. We're almost done. Assessment and grading. If you are watching my screen now, 50% continuous assessment, 50% final exam. You know how I do them. Yes, please. Sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. If it's a question, please go ahead.
Oh, please, it's not a question, but I want to ask this one. Yeah, assessment and grading requirement.
Yes, I'm going to go through that.
Yeah, okay.
If it's okay. So I was going to say that for the continuous assessment, all of them together, continuous assessment includes interim assessment, marathon, assessment 1, homework, group work, everything that you will do before the final exam. The total mark for that continuous assessment is 50 marks. Your final exam, which you will sit down in person with your answer booklet and do, is also 50%, totaling 100%. And then the breakdown for the continuous assessment is what you see on the screen now. If you are watching my screen, let me enlarge it a little. Assessment 1, 10%, week 3. Assessment 2, 10%, week 5. Midterm tests, 20%, week 7. Group presentation, 10%, week 9. Now our weeks have been troubled, so to speak. So we will manage it. You will get a notice, and then I'll do my marathons, like you know how I do them. They are spontaneous. We could do a marathon, and then it will count for assessment 1. That simply means you would have to be present in class or absent with permission. But absent with permission does not, what's the expression? Does not, give me the word, protect you, if you like, make you immune to the punishment. It just makes it softer because we know that you were not coming. You should be on health grounds. Say now your question, if you are not blessed, so, and go ahead, please ask. Okay, I suppose that is clear now. So your essays, there were hands up. Let's take another person. Enoch, you can go ahead now. I said Opoku.
Oh.
I don't know who read.
Oh, go.
Was it Opoku that read or Apia Kubi that read?
Please, it
It's
was
Opoku.
Was Opoku that read? Okay, then let's take Apia Kubi before we take Enoch. Okay, that'll be fair. Apia Kubi, go ahead.
Your essays for the final exam will be graded in terms of your ability to demonstrate a fair level understanding of theories and ideas.
Everyone take note that theories, see that rationalism is a philosophical position. So we'll deal with the theories that people have, propounded, the proponents of those theories and how their views differ. That's all. That's the whole course. Nothing hideous, if you like. See, but if you take it lightly, because it's quite technical, you might not have anything to write. Okay, so take note. We want you to know the theories and the ideas that are covered in the course. Go on, sir.
Clarity of expression and
clarity of expression. Clarity. I didn't did it. It didn't went. That shall I. It won't pass in level 3. That will not pass in level 300. Mr. Ram, we need you. Clarity of expression. Let's know what you are saying. Say it clearly without any ambiguity. And then your friend tells you organization. Your thoughts must be organized. Don't scatter it. And expect that go and sip it from here and chill out another one from there and do that and say, oh yeah, I think he has an idea of it. No. This is level 300. The demands on you are higher than when you're in level 100 and we're helping you find your footing. See that? So you have to be organized. You have to be clear. Your mechanical accuracy must be apt. You have to make it an effort. That's why you're going to write a lot. You see the breakdown. This continuous assessment breakdown is work I've given myself. Look at your numbers. I'm just going to break my back. I don't teach only one course. but it will help the student if they are just making an effort at it and not hiding behind multiple choice or something. You won't get that in this course. A or him, B or him is not here. Here, if you write them, if you write, and you should write coherently and demonstrating what? Critical ability. You must show that you know how to raise questions. So when you read a thing, not raise questions as you are just asking questions, people. You see, you understand the person so much that you can ask, but well, if what Descartes is saying is true, then how different is his view from, say, Kant, who says that this? Isn't Kant assuming too much when he says analytic synthetic is this? Because I think that that's what we are looking for. People that will talk when they go to parliament. Talk. Right. When we go to an international court, when they are going to negotiate the disagreement between Russia and Ukraine, they can bring something home. When they are made Kofi Annan of blessed memory, United Nations Secretary General, we are confident as Ghanaians. We will not be afraid because he will make decisions. He will engage without any arrogance. See that? He will listen, open-minded, and he will meet meaningfully the needs out there. We should solve problems. See that? So we want you to have those skills. And you can't do that way. I didn't did it. It didn't win. That's when you start, we think you are presenting the before long you are finished. And everybody's looking at you. What did the person come? You should be organized so we can follow how you build up the case and how you come to the conclusion you come to. Why we should say, like the what is in vogue now is e-levy, right? Why should we pay? What is it? Is it a tax or a levy? Is it going to make our lives better or is it going to worsen our lives? It is presentation matter, my friends. We all have to come in. And if the people buy it, we do less work. If you're going to market a product, if you become the marketer, if you set up your own company, I'm showing you how these things connect to what? Our everyday life that people don't often see. Sometimes when you are engaging people, they feel that, oh, it's just Plato, this thing that you are doing. They are concepts, they are skills. Okay, so how you are able to link them is what I'm trying to bring home to you. All right, you should have critical ability. You should be able to ask questions. Before long, we will know that, oh, this thing, if we went this way, we wouldn't have had all these challenges. So we can reduce it to this. Or no, we will not reduce it, but we should rather target so and so group. But what if, those questions? It's a skill, or Tom. Otherwise, we are gullible folks, right? Just swallowing everything passing by instead. Right. We know the thing about integrity. We know plagiarism is a serious matter, and I can give as low as 1 mark over 30 if you are caught. And you can be caught, right? The primary sources are there. Rationalism is a straightforward course. You don't have to struggle to get readings on them at all. Come to class, I'll guide you, I'll give you slides. We will engage the content together. I'm not producing a compiled handout this time. I think you should be able to do that. So there's Plato's Allegory of the Cave, which you've seen, Spinoza, Leibniz, Immanuel Kant. I think the Critique of Pure Reason, you should find it easily and read. Start reading. It's quite technical. We'll break it down by grace. And Descartes, you would have met him several times. We are just going to sip out the rationalism in his content so far. Typically rationalism, not all the other things he's doing. The secondary sources, you see Majid's contribution in that brown book. The brown book that has, the book, that the celebration of philosophy and classics, he speaks something on rationality, supernaturalism, and humanism. You find it worthwhile.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you can look at that. Then there's Horton's text, there's Miller, Questions That Matter. Some of them you have seen it from the 400. We are now just going to synthesize all of those and then integrate the ideas. And more importantly, raise our questions of them, Uruka and all that there. Some online sources that can give you free access to the text. I have highlighted what is in yellow there. I haven't authorized any. Don't bring a handout to my lecture hall, or don't come to my office with a handout. The university takes serious exception to that this time. So we are all going to help ensure that. Okay. But you won't struggle because the contents are there for you. Write down reading assignment 1. I'll tell you when to present it. Then we'll finish up. So take your notepad Write it down. It will be graded, friends. Look at lecture 1. You see it there at the end of it. It's not because we have just returned from our travel. The lecture say, so I'm coming to you know, it was already there. So write down the question. In your own words, okay? You, in your own words. Distinguish in your own words, distinguish the rationalist from its, let's say it from his, the rationalist, so human being. Distinguish the rationalist from his what? Opponent. Full stop. The response should exceed 600 words. You know, keep me reminded. This is not what I'll give to the other campus. So just in case there's an ambiguity. Do not exceed 600 words. I think I won't restrict you with the font and what have you. I hope everyone got it. Any question? I see hands up. Is it to ask a question? Dorothy, is there a question? If you want to ask a question, then yeah, go ahead. Yes.
No, please, submission date.
I won't tell you that.
I said submission date.
Then I said,
Okay.
I will not tell you that. I want you to have it. But you know, I cannot actually, I'll mount it on Sakai. Then
Sure.
submit. That's my expectation. But I'll read the atmosphere. You know that one leg is in, but the other leg is still not in. So I'm cautious. I don't want to stress you unnecessarily. See that?
Okay. Yeah.
Let the people who have to do things do what they have to do. Then we can be clear in our mind.
Okay, Doc.
Okay, so you just get it done. At least to engage you. You will see that we haven't engaged the content typically. You see, I'm speaking to the class now. So you are not expected to go and write anything that shows that where you know that. No, but you must make an attempt. This is level 3, and you must read. So in your own words, when you read around the concept called rationalism, how would you distinguish that from the opposing view, from it? So if I called Ebenezer a rationalist, the person that opposes Ebenezer, how will I call him or her? This is very generic. So it will help you read around and see, oh, look, I also saw a view that says this. Then I also read from some, this person, it doesn't look like he's this, but he's also labeled rationalist, except that they say it's not. And then the discussion sets up nicely. Okay, so we'll do that. Let's continue. And there's another hand. Dorothy, what's your question, please? Anta, do you have questions? Ebenezer just spoke. So Anta and Dorothy, if it's a question, unmute and ask. If it's to read, then we can go.
Please, my connection was slow, so I was asking if based on what the 1-page summary.
Yes. The 1-page summary is different. This one is an assignment that I'll take.
What is it?
Read. Then so let's go to the topic. See on the screen now. Weekly lecture topics and readings. Okay. For today, we're supposed to do introductory matters, introductory remarks. I have given you some remarks to guide us, both for the class and then for the whole course, and the period will be together. Then the discussion of class quarter. This is important. So as it is recorded, it even helps us. Then we can still play it back always and get ourselves refreshed. Those who were not able to join, I think we have more than half of the class already here. More than half. Yeah, we have more than half. But still, there will be others that may register later into it, so they don't lose out. They should know what the course is about, how we intend to manage it. Okay, so that is for the prefatory remarks. Then we have discussion of class culture. I've said that attendance, groups, class reps, TAs. The class reps, I think we will, unless there are options, I saw some 1 or 2 hands, but let's see with reps when we meet in person. But for groups, I suspect I asked you to join site info, groups on site info. I'll check. If I have not done so yet, we will do it. We will do so. But I suspect we have done that. At least for level 200, we did that. We should have the groups on standby. What I want to avoid is friends all coming into one group. Then when the other person didn't work, you can't give them up because you are patching the person or the person for buy, so it's something like that. Then you can't be frank. So I wish it would be random. Come to class, pick sheets. If you pick odd numbers, you belong to one group. If you pick all those who pick 2, you are in group 2. All those who pick 3 are in group 3. Nobody choose anybody. Something like that. But that can be worked out. You know your TA. Then discussion of course levels. That's what we are doing. Our readings, our resources. Then introduce next week's lecture. So your 1-page critical summary is supposed to be on the lecture that is going to come the week ahead. That's the problem of knowledge. Look on the screen now. The problem of knowledge, skepticism, sources, the justification. So you can have a well laid out view of rationalism and empiricism. That's what you should do. If I asked you to write a 1-page summary of the upcoming lecture, this is what I'm talking about. So on your own, you would have read the problem of knowledge simply means this, or I understand the problem of knowledge to be X, Y, or Z. In that discussion, so now I'm answering my own question. You hear of the skeptic, you hear, and the skeptic means the person who says so and so and so. Some names that I have seen are this and this and this. I think the challenge with skepticism, as I read it, is that this is so and so and so. However, so and so person have reacted to it this way. If you haven't read, you can't write what I'm saying. The sources of this knowledge are X and Y, and some justify our claims of knowledge based on the mind. Others think it is the senses. Some authors that do this like this, and those that don't are that. The critique raised against them will be this. From my readings, I saw that so and so and so and so. I'm thinking that the challenge with this is this. However, it could also be this. Full stop. That is a 1-page critical summary, which you must do for all the lectures ahead. But the one I've just given you is an assignment, specific, and I asked you to do that also. So you may want to have 2 responses for me on that. Okay. Then the lecture 3, rationalism, non-rationality, rationality, non-rationality, and irrationality. I think for this book we have copyright, the Majid one. It's the same book that has my cultural identity that I gave you, that brown book. Okay, you can find it, maybe get it copied, maybe with the help of your TA, so you can come by the department. You can just check previous readings that I've given you. You should find it easily. The full reference is up there, celebrating philosophy and classics. And the contribution made by Majid. I think it's just about 2 pages. If you have it, we can even engage it in class. Check your resources during previous sessions, you have it there. Then lecture 4 will be the rationalist thesis. This is plural, all of them. So you see the innate knowledge thesis, innate concept thesis, you see all of those. They are all different ways of rendering rationalism. And they don't necessarily have to coincide. Some overlap, some don't. So we have to see them. Then we see Plato's rationalism, Descartes' rationalism. These you have references on them already that I would have given you for my previous sessions. Innate ideas, rationalist claim, the empiricist response. This is a very, very big, discussion. The concept of innate ideas and how it grounds empiricists' claim of the sources of our knowledge and how the rationalists react to that. We will then see the problem of certainty. Remember analytic synthetic. I introduced you to them. We expanded it a bit more in level 200, so I know how much of it you know. Remember synthetic a priori truths and a posteriori truths known analytically. See these ones. We'll build on that. Then there you go, the last lecture. Are there synthetic a priori truth? Kant's response to Hume's skepticism. And then these are quite technical, getting to the end of it. But if you build up well, then by the time we get there, you shouldn't struggle much. You may contact your previous colleagues, those who were in 300 before you, and rely on their handouts, but don't bring them to me because the university takes exception to that, and we don't want issues with the university. I'm so done with the course outline. Any questions? Yes, Dorothy. Dorothy, your hand is up and you're muted. Oh, Dorothy. Okay, I think it could be a mistake. So are there any questions? We are done with our introductory section. We are prepared for next week's lecture, hopefully, if it comes on. Dorothy, you are speaking. Go ahead.
Hello, Doc.
Go ahead, please.
Doc, please, it was a mistake.
Oh, okay, that's fine. So we are done.
Doc, please, I can't hear most of.
Don't worry, it's recorded. It's recorded. I'll send you the link right after. Okay. Don't worry.
Okay, Doc.
All right.
Thank you.
All the best then. Your friends, so if there's no question, we are done.
Doc,
Hopefully.
Doc, we love you.
Oh, what kind of bribe is this?
We love you.
What kind of bribe is that? Is that a Piakubi?
This is a big one.
Mate, you do fine, don't worry. Yeah. But I don't want people coming with the same posture. Yes, I didn't. I'm a game. All right, you do fine. No. Take care, everyone. And let's meet in person. Yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, in person, on time, well prepared, read ahead. I say read ahead advisedly. Let me just end our recording so I can say something.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. So I was just saying that